This is Julie, and I want to talk about a photo entitled "The Bikes." This photo was taken Christmas morning, I would say around 1942, when Marsh probably was 10 years old, or thereabouts. Marsh is pictured here with his childhood buddy Arnold Brown, better known as Brownie. And they both got new bikes on that particular Christmas morning, and they were just so overjoyed. And as I remember it, they rode around Brownie's driveway lots, and then they rode around the block on Nayet Point all morning long. I think no other gifts under the tree were even looked at for many hours while they did that. We two sisters begged to try out the new bike, but our pleas fell on deaf ears because Marsh felt that that was cherished property. He was really good at sharing most of his life with his two siblings, but on this occasion, that bike was definitely off bounds to his two siblings. I remember how much he cherished the bike. I also wonder if at this point in his life this was considered by him a gift from Santa, or was it from Mom and Dad? Because the story goes from Mother that it took him a long while to decide, or to finally admit, that Santa Claus was not real. This photo is entitled "The Neighborhood Gang." For your information, Marshall, pictured here are Sue Colby, Betsy Hunter, your sister Marilyn, there's you, and your other sister Julie, and then there's Brownie. Of course, this is probably about a fourth of our neighborhood gang. Growing up on Nayet Point, we were a small community in and of itself, and we neighborhood children were very, very close. Interestingly enough, we were all ages. We all hung together. Didn't seem to matter whether you were 5 years younger than some of the others. It was not a problem. All siblings were included in the daily activities, whether it be a pickup baseball game over at the Snedden Field, or a trip to the beach to pick up Deadman Hayden, or horseshoe crabs. I remember the two oldest kids being Marsh and Brownie, who pretty much acted as our leaders, or sometimes as our bosses or bullies. I remember in many baseball games, they always sent us to the outfield, some of us younger people, and if someone hit a home run, we'd have to scale the fence into the horse pen over at the barn and retrieve the ball, hoping that the horse decided not to go after us. Most of the gals were sent to the outfield. Does this sound familiar? And the guys played the major bases, and they were the pitchers. The neighborhood gang took many trips to the golf course right down the end of our street. And I don't know if this was off bounds or not, but we did have to cross Washington Road, which was a busy main road. But we did spend many hours over there. The main activity there was crabbing in the filthy canals. I remember coming home soaking wet most of the time with dirty feet. Marsh later on decided to follow in Dad's footsteps, having gone to the golf course so many times to do the crabbing. I think he brought his sticks over and decided to play those 3 holes that are very near the house, and we could still hear the dinner bell from there. So many days were spent late afternoons after school over at the golf course. And he became Dad's regular caddy on weekends, and spent many hours in his teens over at the golf course, over by the caddy stand, hoping to find a job there. I remember on member guest weekend, Marsh would always double caddy for Dad and Mr. Whitaker. And in the evening, after 36 holes, he would come home with these huge blisters on his shoulders, which of course Mom would attend to overnight with ice and bandages, so that he could go out again the next morning. It was a long weekend for Marsh, but he certainly enjoyed doing it, and even though he went through kind of agony with his shoulders, he never gave up. While he was also in his teens, he developed a strong interest in sailing. And I remember one day, he, without telling any of us that he was going to ride his bike over to the Barrington Center and do some things over there. What he was going to do, I have no idea. But he ended up finding someone over on the river over at the yacht club on Matheson Road there, and I think it might have been Winnie Lincoln that he ran into, and Winnie apparently needed an extra crew member for a beetle race that afternoon. So he dropped his bike on the side of the river and jumped in the boat, and of course Mother became frantic that whole afternoon, because there was no marshal. He never came in for lunch or never reported in during the afternoon, which was pretty unusual. And I remember circling town with Mother trying to find my brother, and it was pretty stressful for Mother, I know. But we finally figured out that he must have gone off on a boat, because we found his bike right by the river there, and he must have gone off with someone on a boat. And sure enough, I guess that's what happened that day, and I think that he was probably grounded for the next week, but it was a worthwhile experience in his eyes, certainly. Well, I think that's it from here. It sure is nice to tell tales out of school about your brother. I hope he never gets back at me. But I would like to say happy birthday, Marshall. This is a big one, and it's pretty important, I know. I can't believe you're 70 years old.